Hi Angels, this will be the chapter 17 of You Are My Heroes by Lavender Thoughts 21 on AO3. Filler. Hours went by as Aizawa watched the boys sort through their new toys. It was clear by the way they arranged and swapped that they were sorting which of the toys were the best for their needs. Bakugo had the monopoly on the chews, and Midoriya hoarded most of the pop-its for himself. Aizawa actually had to intervene, so Bakugo could have the chance to play with one. Not because Midoriya was selfish, but he was unconsciously keeping the pop-its closer to himself. They were having so much fun sorting and testing out the new stuff that Aizawa had to remind them twice that lunch was ready. It wasn't usual for Midoriya not to rush to the table, but when Bakugo didn't budge from laying his face on the textured books, it was unexpected. That didn't last long, though. As soon as the smell of cooked chicken reached the living room, Bakugo was off the living room floor and sitting in his seat. Lunch went off without incident. Their plate today held the main dish of fried chicken breast, seasoned with lemon pepper. The sides were rice and steamed broccoli, along with the leftover macaroni from yesterday. Aizawa thought that he would get some protest about the broccoli on the plate, but they ate it without complaint. This was good because, by the color of Bakugo's gums observed earlier, he looked like he needed more iron in his diet. At one point, Bakugo moved a piece of broccoli on his fork and moved it next to Midoriya's hair. "Broccoli head," Bakugo said, a cat-like smile on his face as he made fun of the kid next to him. The sudden comment made Aizawa laugh, but he quickly stifled it by covering his mouth. "Huh?" Izuku questioned the sudden attention on him, tapping his foot on the footrest anxiously. "Your hair is the same color," Aizawa told the boy, and Midoriya looked at the broccoli on his plate, then pulled his green curls to try to see it. "It is," Izuku concluded and giggled in delight at the new discovery. Aizawa was glad that the boy didn't get offended and instead got excited about the coincidence. "More?" Bakugo asked after Midoriya's excitement calmed down. "How does your stomach feel?" Aizawa asked the blonde who put his hand on his stomach before answering. "Can fit bit more," Bakugo decided and looked up at Aizawa with pleading eyes. "Last bit." Aizawa agreed to give him more, and just like he said, he put down a couple more ounces of rice and broccoli. Bakugo finished the extra food on his plate and drank the rest of the water from his sippy cup. It was clear that he was full by the way he let out a satisfied sigh. But Aizawa could see the thoughts turning over in Bakugo's head. Bakugo looked up at Aizawa, seeing that the man had more food on his plate. "You're full, right?" Aizawa asked the boy, and the blonde nodded. Still, there was a stressed look on the boy's face. "Do you know the next time we are going to eat?" Aizawa questioned the boy once again. He had read asking this question could help Bakugo not feel anxious about his next meal. "Dinner time like we had yesterday after it was dark outside," Izuku said to Katsuki, the green boy not quite finished with his own plate. "Dinner time," Bakugo answered with uncertainty. "Yes, at dinner time you get to have another plate of food," Aizawa reassured the boy and brought confidence to his answer. The way Bakugo relaxed back into his chair told Aizawa that whatever fear he had about his next meal was at least temporarily disbanded. "Can we play outside now? It was super fun to play outside before and I want to go again." Izuku had finished his plate and was tapping his feet rapidly. It was clear that the food had given him a burst of energy. Aizawa paused to think about his answer. The man didn't want to say no to Izuku's request, but it was early afternoon, meaning it was the hottest part of the day. They would need to be changed into lighter clothing than what they have now. While he's out, he might as well check on how Taishiro is doing on his first day of fostering. The walk was a couple of houses down and across the street, so it wouldn't be too new to the boys compared to walking to a park. "Yeah, let's just change you two into outside clothes." Aizawa agreed with Izuku, and the boy tapped the table in excitement. Midoriya bounced off his chair and started to jump across the room, excited to have some outside time. Bakugo had his monotoned face on, but Aizawa could tell the boy was also happy by the way he took some hurried steps to their room. In Bakugo's mind, going to the room to get changed sooner will result in them being outside sooner. Midoriya followed behind Bakugo, and Aizawa followed behind them both. Aizawa quickly changed their outfits from casual wear to outside clothes. Bakugo was changed first into a blue shirt with a shark on it with khaki shorts. Midoriya walked around the room on his tiptoes impatiently as he waited his turn. Aizawa had chosen a dark green shirt with a dinosaur on it and some darker brown shorts to match. Once dressed, Izuku was sprinting to the front door, putting on his red shoes with some level of difficulty. Katsuki, seeing his struggling companion, helped the green boy by unstrapping his shoes to fit and strapping them again. Midoriya thanked the blonde and watched amazed as Bakugo slipped on his dark brown shoes with ease. When Aizawa finished putting on his own shoes, Izuku was practically hanging off the door handle. Bakugu tried to open the door properly, but the door only opened a crack. The man chuckled, amused by their efforts, but he had made sure to always have the top chain equipped at all times. Once Aizawa unlocked the chain, the door swung wide up and the boys ran outside. Bakugu headed straight for the pebbles, and Midoriya began his trace of the lawn's perimeter. "Hold on, guys. I need to go visit my friend first, okay?" Aizawa said as he held up a grocery bag of goodies for Taishiro. Knowing that the man loved to eat, Aizawa had packed some of his leftover lunch for his neighbor in a nice bento box. Bakugu nodded and began to follow Aizawa down the driveway, but Midoriya seemed stuck on the top side of the lawn's perimeter. "Come on," Aizawa urged the boy over, but Midoriya seemed upset. He looked across the lawn, but didn't dare to step on the grass. It took a second, but Midoriya decided to ignore the shortcut through the middle of the grass and continue his planned path of following the lawn's edge. Aizawa didn't mind the extra half-minute of Izuku going the long way, but once the green boy made it to him, the boy still seemed upset. "What's wrong?" Aizawa asked, and the boy whined and pointed to the front of the house. "Just go!" Bakugu barked out, his patience growing thinner the more he waited on Midoriya. Still unsure, Izuku looked up at Aizawa. It was rare eye contact, but the boy was at least trying to read the man's facial expression. "Go!" Bakugu blurted out, and this time he pushed Midoriya on to continue his path. Aizawa watched confused as Midoriya walked back to the front of the house, not to the door, but instead to the spot where he started counting his steps. The man understood now. Midoriya wanted to finish counting the steps around the lawn. Cutting through the grass or stopping once he reached Aizawa at the bottom of the driveway would have left the sequence in Midoriya's mind incomplete. And if it was incomplete, the boy would have dreaded not finishing the sequence and kept it in the back of his mind. Izuku returned back to Aizawa with hurried steps, the worried expression gone from his face, and this time replaced with a satisfied smile. Bakugu, despite not liking touch, reached out his hand to Midoriya for safety as they walked down the sidewalk. Midoriya began to hum as he tried to step on every crack on the sidewalk, pulling Bakugu behind when he went back to step on one he missed. Katsuki seemed annoyed by this, because of the way his scowl grew every time Izuku pulled back on him, but he bared with it. "We are going to cross the road now." Aizawa paused for a second as the boys caught up. Aizawa reached out his hand to Bakugu. It was a test to see if the boy would grab onto his hand. Bakugu looked at Aizawa's hand and then at the man's face with squinted eyes. "You need to hold an adult's hand when crossing a street," Aizawa warned him, but Bakugu just huffed. The street wasn't that big, but it was still important to teach them proper road safety. "I got it, Kachan." Izuku saw the struggle Bakugu was facing and let go of the boy's right hand, and moved over to grab his left, parting Aizawa's access from the blonde. Izuku held up his left hand for Aizawa to grab instead. That way they could all be holding hands, but Bakugu didn't have to hold Aizawa's. Aizawa wouldn't admit it out loud, but the rejection from Bakugu did hurt him a bit. However, Izuku's kindness and eagerness to accept Aizawa's hand was a win, so it softened the blow to the man's ego. "Before you cross, you should always..." Aizawa began to teach the kids the rules, but before he could finish his sentence, Midoriya started to sing. "Look both ways before you cross the street. Hold their hands and look both ways. If you see a car, you always wait." Midoriya sang the tune as Aizawa led them safely across the street. This is the end of chapter 17. I'll see you in chapter 18. Have a good day, angels.